Welcome back to another episode of the Work It, Live It, Own It podcast. I am your hostess, SaCola Lair. And today we are going to be talking about something that is so relevant and relatable to us worldwide. And the question I have for you today is, what if your lowest moment could become the launch pad to your greatest success? That is the question that we are going to be talking about today. And I brought on a special guest to break it down for us today in 3 steps. She has a fabulous framework. And so Dr. JaNee Mobley is a wife, mom, coach, and strategist who, despite having a doctorate degree, experienced homelessness, vehicle repossession, a credit collapse, and reliance on food stamps and WIC, and yet came back stronger than ever. Welcome, JaNee Mobley, to the Work It, Live It, Own It podcast. How are you today? Well, I know how you doing. We were talking about this before we came on. So please forgive us. JaNee is just getting over a cold. I'm still in
Yes,
cold mode. I'm still
yes.
sick. You're recovering, but we're going to do this. We're going to have a great time today, y'all. So welcome, JaNee. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me, SaCola. I'm recovering, right? I am doing
Mm-hmm.
well. So if y'all hear the nasally sound, just know that we are here and we are doing it. We execute today. So this is a great lesson. This is a real life lesson.
This is a real life lesson because we just talked about how we're going to make space. We're going to do what we're going to say we're going to do. We're going to keep to our word, right? We're going to
Yes.
do this show today. But then afterwards, we already talked about, I was like, I'm going to get right back in my pajamas and I'm going to rest the rest of the weekend. Well, JaNee, thank you again for coming on. And I really was really inspired and touched by your story because I resonated with it
Mm.
on a few levels. I did. I really, truly did. Now, you have been through incredible adversity, losing your home, your vehicle, income. Can you share with us what that season was really like for you internally? How did you feel on the inside? What was going through your mind and in your heart during that time?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. And again, thank you for having me. And hello, everybody. To be totally blunt, it was uncertain and certain. So when I say uncertain, it was uncertain of how are we going to put the pieces of our life back together. Uncertain of how long this was going to take. Uncertain of how will we weather this storm. But the amazing thing about it is that I was certain that this wasn't going to be forever. I was certain that lack wasn't my permanent life. I was certain, even in those moments, as crazy as it sounds, that I was destined for more. And it's amazing how your lowest point physically can put you at your highest point of awareness.
Mm-hmm. Right, because you're seeing things from a totally different
Oh,
perspective.
yes.
And it goes back to that saying, when you're at the bottom, there's no other place to go but up.
Absolutely.
So you hear a lot of thought leaders, speakers talk about mindset shift,
Mhm.
right? And some people just think, okay, yeah, that's airy fairy. That's yeah, that sounds nice. But we also need the concrete, right? Kind
Mhm.
of like a roadmap.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to use that phrase right now,
Mhm.
mindset. I'm going to use that word, guys. What was the very first mindset belief
Mhm.
that you had to challenge yourself to start to come back and bounce back?
So let's put it, I want to make sure that we're clear because just as you stated, Sokola, mindset is a word that is thrown around so often. And I believe it is thrown around so often that a lot of people really get lost in what and how powerful mindset is. It is
Mhm.
what I like to call the core and the foundation upon which you build everything on. So let's put this into perspective. What is mindset? When we look at mindset as a word, it is a compound word. We have two words. We have mind and we have set. Your mind is your belief system. It is what you think. It is what you know to be true as to where you are. A
Mhm.
set is a place or position. So when we
Mhm.
put mind and we put set together, it is literally the positioning and the place of your beliefs and your thinking. Again, as I stated, that our mindset is literally the foundation upon which we build everything on: our money, our businesses, our careers, our health. So the only thing that separates successful people from unsuccessful people is the positioning of their thinking. So for me, the biggest mindset shift that I had to have in that moment was I realized that if this is where I am right now, I realized I had an awareness that there was more to where than where I was at that moment.
Mhm.
And the shift that I had to make was to make the connection of what was the more. So even being in a place of physical poverty, I was aware that I still had resources that would connect me to a successful way of thinking that would then change the way that I acted, which then would change my results. So, Dr. Geneva, what did you do? I went to the library. Because at the time, money was a little funny. And here's the thing, gratefully, I've always been a self educator. I've always read the right books and surrounded myself with the right people. So the way of thinking was already always in me. So my awareness was, let's go to the library and see what else I can learn. What else is it that I don't know? What else am I not aware of that will fill in this gap from where I am, where we are right now, to where we're supposed to be? And I literally went to work on the most powerful thing you could ever work on in your life. And that's why I always am working with my clients. The first thing and the always thing that we work on, for the lack of proper grammar, is the positioning of your thinking.
Mhm. And that is so true because if you think about it, when you mention the difference between people who move and operate out of scarcity and lack versus those who have abundance, is their mindset, is the fact that they said, okay, I
Absolutely.
know there are resources out there available to me. Let me go and discover those resources. Let me find them. And a lot of times, if our mindset is stuck in this loop, this continuous loop, is because we're not expounding our resources. We're not expanding. We're not widening out to look for additional resources. It's just like this quote, people who don't know better don't do better.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
now let's get into that because a lot of times there are some of us who know better, but yet we still don't do better, right?
So what is the
Because
link?
what is the link? What is the connection? Is it because cultural, society, or we're afraid that people are going to think of us differently, or you think, oh, she's trying to be better than us? Who does she think she is?
Mhm.
Right? But you've got this framework. I want to talk about it. The triple M. I call it the triple M framework. You might have another name for it. You want to tell us how the triple M mindset, message, marketing worked in your life?
Well, rewind. For me, before I got to a place where even I came up with the triple M threat, and I
Mm-hmm.
actually, to be honest, it came from just educating myself because this is nothing new. This is, especially if you are in the marketplace, you've heard this before. But that missing link that SaCola was talking about was a decision, right? At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, I believe that we all have one of the greatest gifts, and that is the gift of decision. Deciding whether I'm going to do A, deciding whether I'm going to do B, regardless of how person A, B, C, D, all the way to Z
Mm-hmm.
feels or not feels about it. It's just a matter of decision, which goes all the way back to the positioning and the place of your way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So, in being in that place of physical poverty, I was prior to, I was dependent on a job. And let me just say this. Having a job, there's nothing wrong with the job, but I was aware that there was greater for me. I was aware that there was more for me. It's that what people call that voice, that still voice that makes them aware that, hey, it's got to be something greater than this. And it
Mm,
took for me to go through, my husband and I, to go through a season of that challenge, to be aware that, you know what, JaNee, you don't ever have to depend on a job to be your only source of income. You have gifts, you have talents that are way beyond someone's job description, right?
mhm,
So for me, I had to go digging and researching and become aware of what my purpose was and is. And then it was a matter of executing. That's where the mindset to movement comes from,
mhm,
executing it. So that's literally where I started. I became aware that not only am I a teacher, but my purpose is helping women overcome mindsets that prevent profit, progress, prosperity, and positioning their purpose for profit. So
mhm,
for me, one of the things about me, I'm a very simple coach and strategist. And when I say
mhm,
simple, I believe a confused mind does nothing. And I also believe that people are very routine in their approach. And when people are confused, they won't do anything. Even if they start, they won't finish it. So I said, okay, well, how do I get from a place of taking this idea from my mind to executing it? And I just literally put together what I already learned. Number one, in order to go from mindset to movement and idea to implementation, you have to have the right way of thinking. Your positioning of your thinking and your beliefs have to be very high. Why? Because many people die with ideas and they never implement them. Graveyards are filled with individuals who had the most amazing ideas, but nobody ever knew about them.
mm.
Why? Maybe they didn't believe that it was going to work. Maybe they didn't believe that they were good enough. And I have found in working with a lot of individuals, one of the biggest issues that a lot of people have is fear, right? So, number one, you got to have the right mindset. You have to have the right positioning in your thinking to be able to execute anything that is going to be great. Number two, you have to have a message. And message, we have cell phones, we have messenger, we have all of these different things. A message is just the way that we communicate. What about your idea do you need to communicate with those who the idea has been created to serve? And make it simple enough for them to self identify and select themselves and say, yeah, she talking to me or he's talking to me, right?
Mhm.
And then the next thing is, how do I take this message that I created and then get it out from my head to make it aware to those who need it? Because you can have an idea all day long, but guess what, how are you going to get paid? How is the money going to go in your pocket, in your bank account? Somebody holds it. So you want to get your message out through marketing, which is number three, to the
Mhm.
individuals who need to be aware that you have a solution to the problem that they solve, that you solve.
Thank you for touching on the triple M. I still call it the triple M,
I love
but
that. Listen, I
the
love it.
triple
I
M.
love the number three, by the way. So that's perfect.
So it took you to realize that there was something bigger,
Absolutely.
more meaningful for you out there. And I think we, as for the most part, as children, we have that. We have mindset as kids when we think about what we want to be, what we want to
Mhm.
become when we grow up, right? That's one of the common questions
Right.
that you may get asked in primary school, elementary school, is what would you like to be when you grow up? What do you want to be, Johnny or Sally, when you grow up, right? And there are times, even as kids, and if you've worked around kids like I have in education for over 25 years, you'll find some kids that are so tenacious, so resilient. If
Yes.
someone says something negative to them and they're like, well, that's just your opinion, but I know I'm not that way. And I secretly, as an educator, I'm like, Oh, yes. Go ahead, go ahead. Because that's that resilient mindset, right? But over time, I think honestly, as we get older and we've had more interactions with people and society, and you constantly are getting pummeled by life or experiences, then that positive mindset, that resilient mindset starts to diminish a little bit. And then our message will get garbled because we don't know what our purpose is anymore. And then because we are not pleasing everyone or certain people don't like us, then we get lost in our message. So you're trying to adopt, some of us try to adopt someone else's message or someone else's expectations of what we think we should be, right?
Mm,
Instead of standing with our core value beliefs, what is right and true for us. And then you talk, I love the fact that you said you went to the library because as a librarian, I love that. I
ah,
love that. Says she went to the
oh
library,
yes,
y'all. She didn't go to
oh
social
yes.
media. She went to the library, everybody, to do some research. You read, you dug deep, but then you also talked about how you took what you already knew, what you already went through. And that's what a lot of people are looking for today. I think we're so done with the fact that someone has this shiny, polished veneer of and marketing dollars to go
Mhm,
out here and be that loudest voice in the arena at the time. But then you don't have anything really to back it up. There's no concrete evidence that says, yes, I've walked this, I've lived this.
mhm,
Now I've come out of it, and let me show you how you can do the same. And even if my framework gives you a basis on how to start it, I still want you to pave your own way.
right,
And
right,
then
exactly.
when you talked about marketing, so let's talk about that because you there are so many people out there that are so talented and gifted. And the one thing they do, I think, is they shy away from that again because they look at society and cultural expectations and they don't hone in on that gift. And then that gift dies with them.
Mm,
So, what were some ways, can you talk about for my audience out there who says, I have an idea, I see where there's a need, and I have this message I want to share? And maybe they've honed in on their message. What about the marketing piece? What has been the way for you
mhm.
in this instantaneous touch of a button with information access world that we have right now? What has been one of the ways that you went from mindset message to marketing?
Let me just share this, and it ties in. And I loved how you painted the picture of how going from a child and then into adulthood, how your belief system should shift. And this is why I truly am in agreement that we should have the faith of children, right? But what is that gap? What happens between childhood or even starting at childhood that if not altered or if not shifted spills over into our adulthood? It's our environment. If you all were
Mm-hmm.
listening to what SaCola was saying, you hear this person, you listen to that person, you may even live with the person, may have been raised by the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what was that critical factor? It's your physical environment. Our the access and the gates to our souls and our spirits are the biggest ones are our ears and our
Mm-hmm.
eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So what we listen to and what we pay attention to through our physical sight and our senses all matter. So for me, this is why even through that challenging time, I made sure, as challenging as it was, because I was in a physical environment that would show poverty. Like we were living on my sister-in-law's mattress in her living room, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the physical depiction would make you realize, make you feel like you poor or you but here was the thing. By me going to an environment that provided me with infinite education on how I can shift my life, totally shifted my mindset regardless of what my physical environment was. Even when it comes down to my marketing, my biggest, honestly, the biggest way that I market are my connections. One thing about me, even if you can hear in my conversation, I connect with people,
Mm-hmm.
period. Because at the end of the day, we all need each other in some capacity. But I know in order for my business to grow and thrive, the dollars are in my ideal client's pocket. So it behooves me to connect with people. I don't care if you write a post. I don't care if you do a live. I don't care what your form of marketing is, your greatest form of marketing is. It has to connect with people. Let me give you a visual. Think about one of the most popular brands for fast food, McDonald's. McDonald's
Mhm.
is clear on their message, they're clear on who they serve, and they are loud and consistent in their marketing through advertisements, right? And it's all to do what? Connect with those that they serve. Marketing at the end of the day, in its simplicity, is about communication and connecting what you have with those who you have been called to serve. But it starts with connecting with people. And I think a lot of the times what scares people is you hear marketing. It's like selling the people and it's like agony. But that's one thing that I had to realize in simplicity, it's all about connecting with people. Even
Mhm.
social media, even what SaCola is doing with the light work life harmony, um, her podcast is all about connecting with you all. This is her way of communicating with you all the strategies and the solutions that she has. Social media, all about connecting. When we look at algorithms, what is the greatest way of going viral? Social interaction,
Mhm.
people commenting, people interacting concerning the post or the video that was released. I hope I answered your question. I probably said a whole lot, but
Well, you touched on the key factor is connection. Whether you're doing that meaningful interaction, we all need that in order to thrive, right?
mm-hmm.
If we don't have meaningful interaction, then we get stuck in our own thoughts, right? And sometimes I've noticed, even with some researchers, they say that isolation is not necessarily good for people. It diminishes us mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I think that's why so many people couldn't handle going through the pandemic
Mm,
that we went through, because it
absolutely.
caused them to be isolated and it caused them to be stuck in their own heads, in their thoughts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if they don't have healthy, meaningful interactions, then they're not going to thrive, right? So
Absolutely.
whether you're doing that in person, whether you find your audience on social media, I chose podcasting because I had a radio background and I was like, well, what if I had my own show and I got my voice out there to the world, right? But that was me. And so you have to find your avenue and the way that
Absolutely.
works for you, because what may work for JaNee, what may work for me may not work for you. It may
Absolutely.
be a networking event or a membership. However, that works for you. You find your tribe, you find your people.
Absolutely.
Now, listeners are looking for simple steps that they can start today. If there was one mindset tweak or one actionable step that they could take away right now, and you've already dropped lots of gems on us already.
Thank you.
You're welcome. JaNee is like, I gave you plenty. But
No,
what,
there's always more.
there's always more. Can you give us, my audience, one mindset tweak or one actionable step that they could take or do right now?
Here is the thing that I would say. Feed the faith, starve the fear.
Mm,
And I'm gonna tell y'all what I was gonna say. I was going to say take action, but I
hmm.
realized that people don't take action because of the stories that replay over and over.
Right.
So one of the roots of these stories is the stories of fear. Well, what is the background of fear? All of the negative things that could happen.
Hmm.
So what happens with people is they feed the fear. What if this? What if they don't buy? What if I suck? What if they don't like me? What if this doesn't work? But can I shift your way of thinking? I want you to ask yourself a powerful question. And I do this. This is literally what I do. You see, I get excited about it. What I do is I ask myself, what if this works? So if it's what if it doesn't work? Well, what if it does work? Well,
Mm,
what if they don't like me? Well, what if they absolutely love me?
mm,
Well, what if I release it and well, what if I don't release it and the person that this has been created for doesn't get the transformation that they need?
mm,
That is literally feeding your belief system and
mm,
starving all of the negative thoughts. So I challenge you in times where you have those negative what if questions, shift it to what if the positive so that you can feed the faith and
mm.
starve the fear. And that will drive you from mindset to movement, from
Mm.
excuses to execution, and from idea to implementation.
Y'all would have thought me and JaNee had known each other for years. Mm-mm.
We have it.
I was like, excuses to execution, from idea to implementation. Or what was the first one? From faith to fear. I mean, from fear to faith. I mean, I love that. I really do. I'm going to apply that because no matter how successful you are, those
Absolutely.
shadows of doubt will love to creep in from the corners of your mind, and they are there. I'm getting ready to go to a conference where I submitted. This is real talk, guys, real time. I was like, before I end my career in education and in this current phase of
Uh huh.
education, because I'm an educator at heart, is that's just the way it's going to be. I was like, I want to present at a conference,
I knew you were going to
right?
say that. Okay,
Right?
sorry. Sorry.
Right? And so I called the one person, another librarian who I knew would not allow me to make excuses. And this is why I say meaningful interactions, accountability partners. That's what I do. I am
Absolutely.
I am your accountability partner. I will hold you accountable to things. And I said, I want to present. And so she said, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to do your research, find out, is this a relevant topic? Is this something that's on their minds right now? So I did that. I created an outline and I said to myself, I'm going to submit two, because you could submit up to four. And I said, I'm going
Hmm.
to submit two. And I said, I got a 50-50 chance I got it back and they accepted both. So now I have to present not once, but twice about how librarians can collaborate on another level and how to go beyond the books and work smarter and stress less in their work environment. So guys, and then here was the thing, I in my mind I was lagging. She did not allow me to lag. She texted me and was like,
Mm,
okay, have you submitted yet? Did you submit yet? Because I want to see your outline. Did you submit? I mean, she was not playing with me. So yes, even sometimes you have these ideas, and I think that's part of my personality. I have the idea, and then I'm like, oh, this would be awesome. This would be great, because educators need work life harmony as well.
mhm.
I've seen it too many times. I've been in the industry for 25 years. So, and then I was like, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. And she was like, okay, have you submitted yet? I need your outline. And now I'm working on my presentation to get that ready for next month. So, yes, you guys have to
Wow.
have that. And, in the process, while I'm creating these slides, I said, I do not. And I want to ask you about this, JaNee. I don't I am not the type of person that if I put together something or I put
Mhm.
together a framework or a program, I want people to walk away with tangible tools, practical
Absolutely.
strategies. I don't believe in just giving this outline, outer shell of stuff. And I'm like, I could have found that on YouTube,
Absolutely.
right? And even though there's nothing new under the sun, there's nothing
Hmm.
new under the sun, but I want people to walk away. So I literally imagine myself in that room and I go, I'm interacting And I know, and my fear kicked in. It did. My fear
Hmm.
kicked in. And I said, but I don't want people to walk away and be like, that sucked. And then I have to check myself as soon as I say that and go, but what
Absolutely.
if it doesn't
Absolutely.
suck? What if it doesn't suck? What if they get some great ideas? And what if they heard some of these things before, but it may be presented in a different way that it may resonate with them and may click with them? So, guys, you have to put in the work. We've got to have some concrete action in
Yes.
order for you to have something that is blessed, that you see the results, the positive results. Because if you don't, you're stuck in your thought loop and you've not made any progress. You haven't made movement. No, there's no traction. So you, JaNee, talk about purpose.
Hmm. Oh, yes.
Mm. How do we ensure that our movement isn't a sprint? Because we see it, right? It's
Mhm.
here, it's hot, shiny, and then it fizzles out. But it's something that we can sustain with purpose.
So one is, and I have three steps again at number three. We're going to do number three, right?
Okay.
You have to have intention. So when you think about purpose, that's what purpose is all about. What is the intent? When I think about each and
Mhm.
every individual that is placed here on this earth, regardless of what you've been through, regardless of what you are going through right now, regardless of what your experiences are, which usually a lot of the times connect us to our purpose, is we all have a purpose and an intention for our lives. And here's the thing, our purpose is always connected to and to be able to serve somebody else. Always just think about that, right?
Mhm.
So how do we execute in our purpose consistently? Number one, you always have to have the intention. What is it that you want to accomplish? Because I always tell this to my children, you can make money all day, but time you cannot buy back. So
Mm-mm.
you want to always have an intention for every single thing it is that you do. I'm sure even just making this plain. SaCola had an intention when she started her podcast. She had an intention before she even invited me on as a guest. She didn't even know me, nor did I know her. And guess what? I had an intention as well. So the time is well spent that will then connect us to our end goal. Number two, you must have clarity. Who likes to put on sunglasses or reading glasses that are all dusty, right? Scholars laughing, right? That are blurry. It is what happens. It makes it difficult to see. It makes it frustrating. It makes you want to snatch them babies off or either clean them or throw them to the other side of the room. So, in order for us to execute in our purpose consistently, we must have personal clarity, which is who we are, so that there's no need to compare yourself to anybody else in your industry or outside of your industry. You need
Mhm.
to have brand clarity. What is it in terms of your purpose? How can you build a brand around it to communicate to those who you have been called to serve? And you want to have clarity on who you're serving, right? Because
Mhm.
it's all about your purpose and intention. And number three, you have to have actionable steps that are going to lead you to the ultimate goal. So let's just put this into perspective because I know SaCola is all about making it simple and
Mhm.
actionable steps. So let's just say your purpose is connected to selling cars. That was the first thing that came to mind, right? So let's
Okay.
just say you intend that you want to sell a certain amount of cars by the end of the month. Every action step, one, you're clear on what your intention is. I want to sell cars, right? You know the type of cars you want to sell. Here's the thing, going back to that, you got to be clear on who you're serving. What brand am I presenting? No, not the sleazy car salesman, but a position of I'm providing a solution to somebody's problem in whatever
Mhm.
car I'm selling, right? And what are the actionable steps? What are the steps that are going to get me closer to that person that I want to sell the car to? If you don't have those three things, you will be everywhere. I heard someone
Mm.
say like an octopus on roller skates. Like you will Can you picture it like that? See, there it is,
I
right there.
I'm a visual person. So as soon as you said an octopus on roller skates, I see an octopus with roller skates on.
Going
You're
nowhere.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere. So you have to have clarity, you have to have intention, and you have to have actionable steps that will lead you to the goal that you are trying to achieve through your purpose.
Yes, I don't want to be an octopus on roller skates for sure, for certain. And I think we can, and I love how you did that with that analogy of selling a car, because we can have purpose and intention and clarity in our everyday lives. It doesn't matter whether you're running a business, it doesn't matter
Absolutely.
if you are a stay at home mom or what they call the trad wife. Uh, if you are a CEO of a company, whatever phase you are, you're a caretaker, stay at home mom. If
Hmm.
you, and that was the thing for me, I had to realize, even because I'm dual career, I still work my 9 to 5. I'm so close to retirement, I can taste it. I can taste it. But seriously, I had to learn about a decade ago, and I think this is where maturity comes in, because it's like once you hit your late 30s, your early 40s, it's like, look, I don't have to prove anything to anybody
Ever.
anymore. And I stood up in front of my colleagues, and we had to create some notebook or something like that. And I stood up and I said, I'm here to be the best librarian that I know that I can be, not compared to anyone else, but I'm going to be the
Absolutely.
best one that I can be. And my purpose and intention is to work behind the scenes to make the teachers in the classroom look like rock stars. That was my intention. So you can have purpose and clarity in anything you do. The thing is,
Absolutely.
you got to show up. And I think a lot of times we get stuck with what we see, what we hear, like JaNee said,
Hmm.
and we have to be careful about that. Here's a challenge that I want you guys to also think about too. If you're finding yourself clouded and you cannot figure out what your purpose and intention is, step away from social media. Step away from watching the news. A lot of people criticize me because I don't watch the news. I still get news. I get it by word of mouth. And then if I want to fact check it, I'll fact check it later, right? But I do not watch the news. You know why? Because even though I went to school and I've taught journalism, it's so not objective anymore. It's very biased. It leans one way or the other. I don't have time
Oh
for
my
that. Just give me
God.
the straight facts. And because it no longer gives me the straight facts and it always comes with a slant, why would I allow myself to listen to it? I
Absolutely.
have colleagues that come to work every single day, frustrated, all up in arms. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? No. Well, you need to stay aware. I am aware. I'm aware of my faith, my purpose, my intention, right? And so
Hmm.
take away the noise. And I sometimes there's some noise with people that you may live with that are constantly in your lives, that you may not be able to help that right then. But if you got 10 minutes of solitude alone to yourself every single day, whether you're a mom and you got young kids and you find you 5-10 minutes of solitude.
Hmm.
If it's early in the morning, late at night before you go to bed, and think about, what do you need? What is your purpose? What is your intention? If it is to be the best mother that you can be, if it means that I got to break generational cycles, whatever that may be, find your purpose and intention and clarity in that. Whew. JaNee,
You are we sisters, and we didn't know because I didn't watch the news. Like, watch the news. Like, why are we doing it? Why?
I don't watch the news. I really don't. And I'm also careful about the type of entertainment that I take in as well. People laugh and criticize if I say, no, I don't watch rated R movies that much. Why? Because it has excessive violence in it. It
Yeah.
has, I mean, there's violence in the world. I don't need to watch somebody fake violence on television.
Now
That's
that's a
just
good
me.
perspective.
Right. That's my take on it. Right. I don't. And people laugh like, you're a grown woman, you don't watch rated R. I could watch the news if I want to see violence. I don't need to see people pretend it. I'm good. So just, I'm saying all that. I know it sounds funny, but I'm saying all that is declutter your mind
Yes.
and silence that extra noise that is surrounding us every single day. JaNee, I'm not gonna let you walk away. I need you to give me one little
What's
tidbit,
that?
one more thing for
Give
the
it to me. Give it to me.
listeners. What do you want them to do after listening to this episode, and where can they follow you for more?
If I could leave you all with one thing, I want you to take, I don't care if it's something that I said or something that SaCola said, make a decision to take action. Um, because what was the point of sitting here? What was the point of turning on YouTube? What was the point of pulling up podcasts or whatever Apple, whatever, wherever platform you're listening to or watching this on? Is
Mm.
take action. Lastly, I have shared with SaCola, if you all would like to connect and learn more from me and figure out how can I work with Dr. JaNee, I have given you all a free gift. One of the things that I love is the 5 mistakes that women make that prevent them from profiting from their purpose. I'm also, and I'm sure she'll have it in the show notes. I'm also on Instagram. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for those of you all who are on Facebook, I'm on Facebook and TikTok as well. I would love to connect with you all and support you all from going from mindset to movement.
Wow, thank you, JaNee. And what an incredible conversation. I had no idea that this conversation was going to turn out the way it did with Dr. JaNee Mobley. Didn't know that was going to turn out this way. Both of us recovering from ill. Well, you're recovering. I'm still in it, in the thick of it. But I think we did well. We can give ourselves a pat on the back and we deserve a good afternoon of rest. But listen, guys, with all seriousness, I think we can all agree that her journey is proof of no matter how heavy life feels, transformation is possible. And when you start to shift your mindset and you back it up with purposeful movement, Dr. JaNee reminded us that it is not enough to just think about change, but we have to put our beliefs into motion and into practice. So, guys, simple, powerful, and something each of us can apply each and every day. If it's just one small step, you don't have to take a big idea right now. It could be one small idea and build that momentum. So, here's my challenge for you this week. I want you to choose one area of your life where you have been stuck in mindset mode, where you've been stuck in that thought loop. And I want you to focus on mindset, message, and marketing, like JaNee said, and decide what you want instead, and not what you don't have, not what you lack, but decide what you want instead and take one small intentional step towards it. Make that toward move. And remember, it's not about doing everything at once. It is about building momentum with purpose. We can give you a framework all day long, but the movement is on us. And so if today's conversation spoke to you, be sure to connect with Dr. JaNee on her YouTube channel, on her website. All the information will be provided in the show notes, and I will link everything today. Don't forget to download this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And of course, if you found this episode valuable, don't forget to share it with someone who needs a reminder that mindset plus movement equals transformation. We hear that word a lot too, transformation, but it's mindset plus the movement that's going to transform your life. So until next time, guys, keep showing up with persistence, resilience, and purpose. You've got this. Continue to work it, live it, own it in your everyday lives. Take care.